For my daily living adaptation assignment, I was assigned the student Terrell, so I'm just going to read his description for you. Terrell is a 7-year-old boy with cortical visual impairment and a moderate bilateral sensory neural hearing loss. He also has cerebral palsy, a severe intellectual disability, and epilepsy. He communicates with his teachers and peers through sign approximations and a communication board using line drawings. However, his communication is unreliable. His family and teachers are struggling to communicate with him about basic self-care tasks, and his teacher hypothesizes that he is not taking to his communication board because his brain is not interpreting the line drawings appropriately due to the CBI. The team has begun to explore using an object board with Terrell to help him communicate his basic needs. So the daily living adaptation that I decided to make for Terrell was an object board, which is right here. And it's really big, so it might be hard to see, but I chose to make an object board because it's really hard for him to interpret line drawings when communicating. So I figured this would be an easier way for him to be able to actually physically see a real object here and be able to choose which basic self-care task that needs to be fulfilled. And it also allows for easier communication with his teachers, parents, and when playing with other peers, because he can easily just, if he needs to go to the bathroom or if he needs a drink of water, all he has to do is point or pull it off, and it's not lines that he has to identify, it's real objects. And my board is big enough so that the objects are very spread out, which you can see, and it makes it easier for him to see each object by itself and then choose it independently. And the words that I included underneath, they are lines, but I made them thicker because he does have a hard time seeing lines. So I thought maybe if they were a little thicker, it would be easy for him to identify the word with the object. So some of the materials that I included are the soap, and the word under it is wash. So this word could go with washing hands or showering, but it's mostly used for washing hands. So if his hands are dirty after snack, or if he goes to the bathroom and forgets to wash his hands, a teacher could come, okay, it's time to wash your hands, and he'll know what to do. I also included 2 different brushes. One is a toothbrush and the other is a comb. So depending on which kind of brush he would want, if he wanted to brush his teeth, or if he wanted to brush his hair, or maybe he wants to brush his pet, you never know. It's easy for him to choose which kind of brush he wants, and then for the individual he's trying to communicate with to know what he wants and needs. And then the other thing I included is this little water cup that signifies drink underneath. So if he's thirsty or needs a drink, it's very explainable. People will know, like, hey, let's get this kid a drink. Next is hungry, which is down here, and for hungry I included silverware because silverware is typically goes along with eating. And I included a fork and a spoon because those are the most 2 common used utensils, and even if he was eating, like this could mean I'm hungry, I want to eat, he wants a snack or a meal, but when he does have a snack or a meal, maybe he needs one of these utensils. He could easily point to the utensil that he needs, and whoever he is trying to communicate that to could get it for him. The next one I got is a leaf, and that signifies outside. So maybe he wants to go on a walk, or he just wants to enjoy the outdoors. It's a nice day out, tired of sitting inside. So this would easily mean I want to go outside, I want to play. And then for the last one, I chose toilet paper because the bathroom, that's really the only thing else I could think of besides like a small play toilet, but I did want to make it bigger for him to be able to see. So the toilet paper could signify using the restroom. And those are all of the things that I included on my board. And in order to adapt this for Terrell, I actually included Velcro on the back of each object. So say he needed to brush his teeth. And he was trying to communicate that to someone. He could easily pull the toothbrush off, like, hey, I want to brush my teeth, and then stick it back on. So it's very easy for him to grab it and to show someone. Or if he wanted to wash his hands, the soap comes off and it can easily be put back on. All of the objects included are big enough for him to physically pull off and stick back on. And that's something that I really was looking to do with this project, because it's important for a student to not just be able to point at something. I think physically seeing an object and then being able to interact with it will also help him learn like the basic care needs that he often needs fulfilled and is hard for him to communicate. So I did try the board out myself, and it was actually really easy and efficient to grab each object because they are big enough, but some of them are a little frail, like this leaf. It's not fall anymore, but it was really the only thing I could think of to go outside, so it's a little harder. You have to pull it by the Velcro, and the toilet paper is easy to rip, but it's really easy to pull things off and stick it back on, and it is a really good stick. It's a stick that would last a while, and all of the objects I included are things that he would see in his everyday life, just in his house or at school or just hanging out in the community. He would see all of these things, so they should be easy to identify, and that would make it easier for him to select his choice of what self-care activity he needs fulfilled. If I were to do this again, or for like just one of my students, I would think I would definitely use a smaller board, and I would get different objects that could be a little smaller, just because this is very hard to transport. But yeah, if I were to do this again for a personalized student, that's one thing I would do. And I would also consider colors, because since he does have a visual impairment, it might be hard for him to see certain colors. But if I were doing this for one of my students in real life and I knew they had trouble seeing the color red or yellow, I wouldn't include it on this board. So yeah, this is my daily living adaptation assignment for Terrell.